The diner was half empty. That rainy afternoon, filled only with the smell of coffee and the soft hum of country music. Outside, motorcycles lined the parking lot, their chrome glistening under the gray light. Inside, a group of bikers sat near the window tattoos, leather jackets, and heavy boots. They looked rough to anyone who didn't know better. But among their deep laughs and rough voices, there was a strange warmth. The bell over the door jingled. Heads turned. A small boy, no older than 7, stepped in, drenched from the rain. His shoes squelched with every step. Behind him, no one followed. The waitress started toward him with a gentle smile, but the boy's frightened eyes stopped her. He looked around like someone who'd been running for miles. Then he whispered, barely audible, "They took my sister." The diner fell silent. The leader of the bikers, a tall man named Rex, with a beard streaked with gray, set down his coffee. "What did you say, kid?" he asked, his voice low but calm. The boy swallowed hard. "They took her. In a blue truck, near the old gas station. I tried to stop them." His voice broke, and his little hands trembled as he clutched a torn backpack to his chest. "Please, mister. They said if I told anyone, they'd hurt her." Rex's eyes darkened. The rest of the bikers exchanged looks one of them had daughters, nieces, or sisters. One of them, Tank, stood up so fast his chair scraped the floor. "How long ago?" The boy wiped his tears. "Maybe an hour." Rex turned to his men. "That's close." He pulled out his phone, already checking the roads around the area. "Blue truck, old gas station," he repeated, and his crew instantly understood. The waitress tried to calm the boy, wrapping him in a blanket. He shivered, still soaked, whispering his sister's name over and over. Maya. Within minutes, the bikers were outside, engines roaring to life. The boy watched through the window, his small hands pressed against the glass as thunder rumbled across the sky. Rex leaned down to him before leaving. "Kid, I promise you will find her." As the bikes tore down the wet highway, the sound was like an army rising from the earth. They weren't just men on motorcycles anymore, they were protectors on a mission. Back inside, the waitress turned to the sheriff sitting quietly in the corner booth. "You gonna follow them?" she asked. The sheriff looked out the window, watching the fading taillights. "Those boys move faster than any law I've ever seen," he said. "If that girl's still out there, they'll find her before I do." Meanwhile, rain poured harder, the storm growing wilder. The bikers split up, covering every backroad and trail leading out of town. Rex's voice came through the radio, firm and focused. "If she's hurt, I want names. If she's scared, I want comfort. But if someone touched her, God, help them." Out on the edge of town, a faint cry broke through the rain. One of the bikers stopped, turned off his engine, and listened. There, behind an old barn, something moved. It quieted in Rex. "I think I got something." Within seconds, the others were there, engines idling in the mud. They surrounded the barn quietly. The boys' words echoed in their heads. "They took my sister." Rex motioned for silence, then kicked the door open. What they saw inside made every man's heart stop. The truth wasn't what anyone expected. Inside the dark, musty barn, the air was thick with the smell of gasoline and wet straw. A single flickering bulb hung from the rafters, casting shadows across the room. In the corner, tied to a wooden post, was a little girl, her hands bound, her face streaked with tears and dirt. "Maya." Rex breathed out the name softly, almost in disbelief. She looked up at the sound of her name, her big brown eyes wide with fear. When she saw the biker jackets and the skull insignia, she froze until Rex knelt down, voice gentle but steady. "Hey, sweetheart. We're here to take you home." Before anyone could move closer, a creak echoed behind them. A man stepped out from the shadows, holding a shotgun. His smirk was cold. "You picked the wrong barn, boys." The bikers didn't flinch. Tank took a step forward, but Rex raised his hand calm, controlled. "You the one driving that blue truck?" The man's smirk deepened. "Maybe. Depends who's asking." Rex's tone turned hard. The kid's brother is asking. The man's face twitched, but his finger tightened on the trigger. That was all Tank needed. In one blur of motion, he lunged, knocking the barrel aside just as it went off. The blast ripped through the ceiling. Chaos erupted. 2 more men burst from the back of the barn, both armed, both yelling. The bikers moved like a storm fast, precise, coordinated. Rex grabbed one attacker by the jacket and slammed him against the wall, the board splintering from the impact. Tank swung a rent, disarming the second man before sending him sprawling into a pile of crates. Maya screamed, covering her ears as the noise echoed around her. Rex's voice cut through it all. "It's okay, honey. You're safe now." He rushed to her, cutting the rope around her wrists. The moment she was free, she threw her arms around his neck, sobbing into his jacket. "They said they'd hurt my brother." Rex's chest tightened. "No one's touching your brother again, I promise." When the sheriff's sirens finally wailed in the distance, the barn was already quiet. The kidnappers lay on the floor, bruised but alive. Rex didn't wait for credit. He just lifted Maya gently and walked out into the rain. At the edge of the dirt road, the boy was there standing beside the waitress's old car, blanket still around his shoulders. When he saw his sister, he ran forward, crying, "Maya." She broke free from Rex's arms and sprinted to him. The 2 of them crashed into each other, hugging tight, both crying, both trembling but safe. The sight made even the toughest biker turn away, swallowing hard. The sheriff pulled up a few minutes later, taking in the scene: the wrecked barn, the defeated kidnappers, the bikes parked in the mud. He looked at Rex and shook his head. "You're lucky I didn't have to clean this mess up." Rex gave a tired smile. "It would have been a lot messier if we got here 5 minutes later." The sheriff nodded. "You're not wrong." As the kids were driven to the station for questioning, Rex watched their car disappear down the road. The storm was finally easing. One of the bikers, Duke, kicked the mud off his boots and said quietly, "You think they'll be okay?" Rex nodded. "They've got each other. That's more than a lot of folks can say." The gang rode back to town in silence, headlights cutting through the mist. But the story wasn't done yet, because the next day, when the bikers stopped at the same diner, something unexpected happened. A small crowd was waiting. The waitress, the sheriff, even the mayor stood outside, and in front of them, holding a hand-painted sign that read, "Thank you," stood the boy and his sister. The little boy ran up to Rex and handed him a tiny bracelet made of red string. "For you," he said shyly. "My sister made it." Rex stared at it for a long moment before slipping it over his wrist. "That's the best thing anyone's ever given me, kid." Maya smiled. "Now you're our hero." Rex's rough voice softened. "No, sweetheart. You two are the heroes. You kept each other alive." The crowd clapped, the bikers grinned, and for the first time in a long while, Rex felt something shift inside. Him a reminder of why he started protecting people in the first place. As they rode off once more, the sign still waving behind them, the boy's voice echoed faintly in his memory. "They took my sister, but..." This time it ended differently, because the world had shown that even in the darkest places, there are still people who don't wait a second to do what's right. If this story moved you, share it with someone who believes in doing good without hesitation, because sometimes the smallest act of courage can change an entire life.